Hello, and welcome back. This is another video here. Ignore the hat. I just got out of the shower, and my hair is very long right now, like the longest it's ever been, and it was just all down my face. And it's backwards because I don't think I can show the logo that's on the front of it, at least not on YouTube. It's perfectly safe, I just might get monetized. Um, Today's video will be about how to win. Now, I know that's a very broad topic, and I'm going to talk about quite a few things in this video, but a few of them will need their separate videos. I will just talk briefly about it. But I have plenty of notes here on what it is and how to win. The 5 things I'm going to be talking about in this video is starting. How starting is the most important and sometimes the hardest part of your journey. I'm going to talk about a bit of my experience with SMA, what I'm currently doing, what your paradigm is, and explain, I guess, a little bit how to control it. Next one is discipline versus motivation. I'm sure quite a few people are clear with that, but it's very important that you have one, not the other. The last one is action versus preparation. So, first, starting off, starting is the hardest part. Of most things that you do in life, you're going to be uncomfortable. Okay, I don't scratch that, not most things. There are some things in life that you're going to be uncomfortable with. Whether it's cold calling, whether it's talking to that girl, whether it's standing up for yourself, whatever it is, there's uncomfortable situations in your life. And the easiest way to deal with them is, well, do it. I mean, I know it sounds a bit, not intuitive. You're like, hey, do it and do it. It's not that hard. But it can be. It's the hardest part. If you don't start something correctly, it can end badly. If you don't approach the girl in the right way, if you use a crappy pickup line or something like that, it won't end right. Or if you do, it might end good and you might have a girlfriend for a year. Who knows? Okay? So starting is the hardest part with a lot of things, but for this specific reason, we're going to be talking about business. Let's say cold calling, as I used an example in my last video. If you haven't cold called for, let's say, a week and you normally do it a lot, the first cold call, you really, really don't want to do it. It's the first one, you procrastinate doing it forever. But then by the time you're on your fifth call, it's easy. It's easy. You start booking more meetings, but that first call is always going to suck. First 5 calls are always going to suck. And it's just the harsh reality. But it's important that you actually start. Because sometimes the fear of doing that first cold call will keep you from doing cold calls altogether that day. And you do not want that to happen. Next point here is my journey a bit with SMA. So, I guess, let's say online business in general. I started at the beginning last year. I took a course for about 2 months, and I was a copywriter for a short period of time. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 months. Nothing really came of it. I learned how to write like sales scripts and um, just the important copy needed for a business, like a website. I learned how to do some things, but I never really got to actually getting paid for it. I did free work for like a client. That was about it. After that, I think I took a short break because I was thinking like, is this online business really for me? And then closer to the summertime, I would say probably end of May, maybe. I started watching some Iman Gadzhi videos, and I got into SMA. I looked into his course. Agency Accelerator had like just launched right then. I mean, I was there for the launching of it, and I looked into it a bit, and I joined. Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't really the best. I would say it was hyped up a lot, and the stuff in there is very valuable. But I feel like just with so many people, what's the point? And like with the course I was in previously, there was like 100,000 people in there, and I'm like, okay, there's good value in here. That's why there's 100,000 people. But if there's 100,000 people, even if there's 1,000 staff members, that's still 10 to 1. I mean, that's still a big ratio. So I took the course, and the community, it was good. It's been useful, but I really tried. I tried a lot of things with SMA, and I don't know, I couldn't get it to stick. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Then I encountered a very small group of people called Olympus and Matthew, who's the owner of it. I might actually post this video in that community. We'll see. But I think when I joined, it was like 10 people. Now it's about 15. But it's a pretty, definitely more close knit than a 5,000 group of people being taught by this random guru. And I feel like that has really helped me, do a lot of things. That's the reason I'm making these YouTube videos. I would not have made that if I was just on my own. It's like outbound content is a great way. Even if I don't, let's say, get any leads off this, still putting myself out there, having my face known, having my awesome hair with this hat on is still important. And it's very important for building a personal brand. But anyways, that's a bit of my story, and that brings me to where I am today. I have a decently successful agency. I do outreach for other agencies, and I do sales call closing as well, but I don't want to talk too much about that. Just want to give a bit of a story. The next one is your paradigm. So point 3. So paradigm, it's something that you might hear of in like a sci-fi movie. I think that was probably the first time I heard of it. Like, I don't know, your paradigm was something about your mind, and I never really understood it. And the same guy, Matthew, the course I was in with Olympus, he talks a lot about paradigm, and it is very important. Your paradigm is your view of something. You have a paradigm about everything. So you have one big paradigm, you have a sub paradigms, you have sub paradigms. Okay, I have a bottle here. I'm not going to show you the label because I don't know if I can or not, but you can imagine what type of product this is. I have a paradigm around that type of drink. I like that type of drink. Therefore, I buy it, and therefore that company gets money. If I did not like that type of drink, I wouldn't buy it. Therefore, that company would not get money from me. And yeah, they're not making much off of me alone for me buying the drink that I just showed you. But keep in mind, what if everybody didn't like that product that I just showed you? I don't know if I can say the name or not, but you know what I'm talking about. If everybody suddenly changed their paradigm to think, oh, blah, I don't like that drink, guess what? They're broke. So even the smallest of things, your opinions, they can really change things, especially if people um, all have the same view. So there's also paradigms on more complicated things. One thing I would say is murder. Okay, it's really not something you want to talk about. It's something very dark. It's not a good thing to be talking about. But some people have a paradigm that murder is good. Not a lot of people, thankfully. Very few people, but that's why we have people on death row in America, because they decide to have some fun. And, well, it's very sad that things like that happen, but that's their paradigm around murder. Now, most people, I hope, know that murder is bad, and no one wants to go out there and do it, which is great. But there's still some people that don't, and they have had a huge impact on many, many lives. But then you get to your bigger paradigms around, let's say, online business itself, around maybe an agency. What is your opinion? What is your thoughts? What are your experiences with owning an agency, thinking about owning an agency? And that can affect your view of an agency. If you worked with an agency in the past, let's say they do the same thing I do. They did outreach and they closed sales calls. They did the outreach great, but they did the sales calls terribly, and you ended up losing money on them, and you got burnt, and you were pissed off. Your paradigm or your view on agencies, not very good. And I don't blame you. But your paradigm is your opinion. Agencies, I think in general, are not bad at all. They've made many people millionaires, and we use them every day. Big companies like Uber, Airbnb, or something. Those are all big agencies, and we need those type of companies. But your experience with one of them changes your personal view. And there's positive and negative view. If you had a great experience with the agency and you would love to work with another one, great. You have a good paradigm and a good view toward agency. On the other hand, you don't. Now I'll go more in depth with this. I feel like I'm missing a little bit of something, but I will put paradigm into its own separate video because it deserves way more explanation than what I'm saying now. But under our fourth topic, discipline versus motivation. Motivation is the most powerful one. So motivation is the stuff that you get, at least if you're a guy, if you're like me, at 3 a.m. when you just got done taking a shower because you're supposed to go to bed, but then you wake up like, oh yeah, I want to work out. I want to go do cold calls. That's random motivation. Whenever you get home from school or work on a random day of the month and you really want to, get stuff done, you want to fix the faucet, you want to go work out, you want to paint the house, whatever it is, that's motivation. And motivation is powerful. If you have good motivation, you can be more productive in one day than you can be in a week. But motivation sucks because you can't just create motivation. Motivation isn't like, oh yeah, I want to motivate myself to do this. That's basically saying I'm trying to trick myself into doing it, which granted is some type, I will explain that a little bit more, but I guess that could work, but not really. The motivation is very spontaneous. It's not really controlled. And motivation is great. It's powerful. You get the most stuff done. But you could have an entire month where you're not motivated to do anything, and then that month you go broke, or you don't go to the gym, or you lose your girlfriend, whatever you're doing. But then again, there's discipline on the other hand. Discipline is not as powerful, and it relies a lot more on consistency rather than just big peaks. If you get one day a week that is 100%, that's 110%, you are doing the absolute best, and let's say in the gym, Okay, you have one absolutely phenomenal gym session a week, or you have five 50% sessions a week. Now, I'm no mathematician, but 5 times 50 is 250% versus 100 or 110%. So, who do you think is going to end up looking better at being stronger? The guy that goes to the gym consistently and does pretty good effort for 5 days a week, or the one guy that just goes all out on Monday and then just eats donuts the rest of the week? I mean, it should be pretty obvious. And that's why discipline, even though it's not as powerful as a motivator as motivation, or it's not as effective, discipline will get you so much further. You're like, for example, I've been doing push ups every day forever. I've been doing it for more than a year now. Last year I did 52,000 in a year. I started off by doing 100 a day. That got easy, so I did 120, and I kept going up, kept going up. I was doing 200 by the end of the year. My goal for this year is to do 100,000 push ups in a year. I'm not going to do that by doing 10,000 push ups every month on like one day of the month because that, I mean, it's not possible. If I maybe could hit 500 a day, that'd even be too much. Instead, I did the calculations, and if I were to want to land right on 100,000, I would need to do 274 point something push ups per day. So I'm doing 300. But I don't do 300 every day. I do it most days, but some days, you're not feeling too good and your arms might be a bit sore or you're a little sick. I might do 250, I might do 200. They end up pretty much evening out. But that's the point, consistency. Even at the lowest, I'm still doing 200 push-ups a day. And no need to brag or anything. This is just for an example sense. 200 push-ups versus, doing 500 once a week, the 200 is going to get you there. If you do 205 days a week, that's 1,000 versus the 501 day. That's double. And that's why discipline is just so important. And I could talk a lot more about this, but I feel like I've talked about it enough. And, it may get its own video as well. The last one here is action versus preparation. So I cannot tell you the saying right now because I can't remember the exact saying, but would it be okay? How do you think you get better at driving a car? Reading all the manuals about driving a car, watching all the videos about how to drive a car, getting taught how to drive a car, and then go to drive a car for the first time? Or you think just, driving a car in general? I know it's a little off there, but if you prepare so much for everything, you're going to have to do it anyways. Like preparing for cold calling doesn't make sense because the best way to prepare is just go do cold calls. The best way to learn how to drive is drive. You can read all the manuals you want to, some traffic laws and whatnot, but that's not going to teach you how to slam on the brakes when someone stops in front of you or swerve out of the way if you're about to get hit. That doesn't teach you road manners. That doesn't teach you things that you can only experience, things that you only know how to do from driving, from the experience. And that's why it's so much more important. Yes, preparation is important, but nowhere near as much as action. Blind action is better than very little super prepared action. All right. If I were to super hyperfixate and concentrate on running 100 meters, that wouldn't really do anything. Okay, great. I ran 100 meters. I'm American, by the way, so it's a metric system. But great, you run 100 meters. What now? Oh yeah, you sit and you calculate how to run the next 100 meters, or just blindly run a mile. Like you don't have to calculate it, just run. I mean, it's not something you need to think about. It's something you need to do. And I feel like for most people, excuse me, that is a big bottleneck for them in where preparation is needed and where it's not. Most of the time, action is way better than preparation, unless you're doing some kind of school project or whatnot. So, blindly take action sometimes is better than hyperfixated, very little action. Not always. Don't quote me on that. But a lot of the times, action is just, it's better than preparation. So with that, I know that was a lot of topics. Probably going to make a video about the paradigm. Probably going to make a video about discipline at some point. I might record another video after this. We will see. Hopefully also by the end of this month. By the way, it's February 15th, so day after Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully this month, though, I'll get out a POV video, which I've been wanting to do for a little bit. Just go throughout my day of school. It'll probably be in it'll probably be time-lapse. I'll show cold calling. I'll show working out, whatever, just a basic day. Because why not, have me and my friends edit it. I need to learn how to edit a bit better, too. And sometimes I might be posting 2 videos a week. I know I said that in the last one, but that's because I only had 1 video recorded, and I went to Canada So that messed a lot of things up. But I would love to start actually doing like 2 a week, because 1 a week is great. But I mean, it's 1 a week. You can do better. So I will do better. And with that, thank you to everyone that watched this. Please feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you're interested, or watch some of my old gaming videos. I don't care. But if you're interested in this, please let me know. Give me some comments with a recommendation if you'd like. And I wish you all the best.